Welcome to Alberta Conservation Association's Harvest Your Own podcast, the resource for everything hunting, navigating through the field, the butcher shop, and the kitchen. Life is all about great food. Let's get started.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Brad Fenson, an avid outdoor enthusiast who has worked as a freelance journalist, photographer, and public speaker for over 3 decades. I have hunted, fished, and foraged all my life and hope to share my passion for the outdoors. Along the way, I want to encourage everyone to harvest wild proteins and enjoy the satisfaction of providing the next meal for your family. Our goal is to educate, entertain, and inspire individuals to get outdoors and create a connection between food, health, and your future meals. Welcome to Harvest Your Own. Today we have some guests that have traveled from northern Alberta. And it's good to say that it's actually our first couple we've had on Harvest Your Own, other than my wife and I. We've never had another couple on the show. It's usually individuals or people from like Delta Waterfowl or special programs, stuff like that. But I'd like to welcome Chris and Lasha Barbosa. I hope I pronounced everything right.
Yeah. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, so you're from Fort McMurray?
Yes.
And traveled down to do a Harvest Your Own podcast.
That is correct.
And
thank you, Brad.
Yes, well, you're welcome. And I'm glad that you could make the journey down. The weather's perfect. You know, we talked about doing it earlier in the winter, but, it's like spring out there now. So it's nice to get out, nice to be outdoors. I'm sure you saw lots of wildlife on the way down, and they're going to see even more on the way home. So
beautiful drive.
It is. I think it's safe to say that the two of you are the Harvest Your Own biggest fans. You know, whenever we post something, I either see Chris or Lasha's like or heart first on everything.
Stop being so good.
Either you really enjoy the program or you're active on your phone.
No, really enjoy the program, especially since moving to Alberta.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were hoping for. When we first set out with Harvest Your Own, we wanted to inspire people to take up hunting, learn more about it, give them the tools, give them the background, give them the information, and obviously it's working.
Yeah, definitely does that. Good.
Yeah, and Lasha, you've hunted before, haven't you?
Yes, I grew up most of my life hunting, fishing, trapping, hiking all over the Yukon and northern British Columbia, quite a bit in Masset, Haida-Gwaii.
Wow. That's like a dream for me. I tell most people that I get to know that I can't hide it. The Yukon is my favorite place in the entire world. I've been there so many times. I've been there every month of the year. I've snowmobiled into the backcountry to go ice fishing. I've canoed the rivers, hunted high alpine lakes. It's a dream place. It really is. Once you get it in your blood and your system, it becomes a part of you. So, interesting history. Let's hear a little bit about Chris and Lasha. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Toronto, Ontario. I'll speak for Lasha. She was from BC, the last stop. And we both traveled to Fort McMurray, different paths, and met there, fell in love, and then she got me hooked on hunting.
Wow. Now that's a story with a happy ending.
Yes.
It's funny how hunting can influence people.
Yeah, it can. And it was, I've always wanted to take care of my own sort of meals and process everything myself and do that. And Lasha really opened the door for me on that one, telling me about her life growing up and all of her adventures.
Right. So is it safe to say you grew up with wild game? It was always a part of your life. I mean, by your introduction, it's hard not to believe that you didn't have it almost every day. Like our freezer's full of stuff here and we don't buy, I say the only meat we really buy is bacon, but it's a different food group on its own. So
it's a magic food.
Yeah, it sure is.
Wasn't an everyday item after I became a teenager, as my father moved to being a drug alcohol counselor, which brought us out of the small northern towns into a larger city, and hunting, fishing, trapping, all of that kind of stopped. But up until about 12 years of age, we always had game meat on our table.
That's a pretty special way to grow up. And I understand that people that live rural or in a wild place like the Yukon, it's a lot easier to do. You can come home from work and go out with as a family or do different things, and it's part of your lifestyle. It's part of who you are, right? You move to a bigger center and all of a sudden you got a plan, and it's hard. Like you're lucky to get out on a weekend or one weekend a month. So it makes it much more challenging. As long as that fire's there, though, and it keeps burning, you're going to find a way to go, which is always a positive thing. Chris, you guys met in Fort McMurray. How did you ever run into each other? You're from Toronto.
Yep.
She's from the Yukon, BC. At first glance, you'd say, wow, they probably have very different backgrounds, very different interests. How did this happen?
Oddly enough, around the same time as she was in BC, I was thinking about moving, and I love Northern Canada, so I wanted to embrace that. I had a job interview with Yukon dealership, and I had one in Fort McMurray dealership, automotive dealership, and Fort McMurray responded first, so I said, I'll stop on my way. If I don't like it, I'll just continue to the Yukon, and I ended up staying there, and about a month, 2 months later, Lasha got hired on, and we just hit it off right from there. Right? Yeah, it wasn't long after that we were dating and planning a wedding and planning hunting trips and Yukon trips.
Yeah, the story with the happy ending.
Oh, very happy ending.
Yeah, I can see that. You guys are always smiling and doing lots together. So at what point you had an interest in hunting, or did Lasha share her experiences enough to really generate more interest in you to spur you on?
I always had an interest in hunting. Yeah. Always wanted to hunt. Just I never really had a mentor or anyone around us. We had family friends that hunted. My dad is a huge angler. He's a big muskie fisherman. Wow. He's right up there with the muskie heroes. so those are hard shoes to fill. So I knew I wasn't going to be that. But when I came to Alberta, it just seemed more of the culture was more about hunting, more about outdoors, more about harvesting, especially up in Fort McMurray, being in the northern regions. And that just sort of fueled, ignited that in me. I love being outdoors. And then meeting Lasha and her passion for it and everything from hunting, trapping, taxidermy, she just loves guns. And it wasn't a shunned thing. It was just more of an embrace and let's go out and do this. So
it normalized it.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
And, that's interesting when you grow up in a family where you don't have a mentor or even somebody that owns a gun, or maybe even family members that think guns are scary and you shouldn't have them. All of a sudden you meet somebody that's really cool and you fall in love, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, that's not scary at all.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Lasha's had a large impact on you, obviously helped set some of the direction for you. But have you also used Harvest Your Own for learning some of this?
Oh, your Harvest Your Own has been our main resource. Like one of the things I travel around in a truck a lot to go to customers' places or work on heavy equipment, and you got time. So the first thing I did was I love to learn. I love education. I typed in hunting in Northern Alberta, and your podcast was one of the first ones that came up. And right from there on,
that's how you found it.
That's exactly how I found it.
Well, that's a pretty cool story because, I didn't know if you had seen it on social media or what it is, but searching the podcast and finding it and then led you to the social media.
Yeah.
And from there, things really took off.
Yes.
You've embraced the programs, all the information, all of it.
So much so. Coming from not knowing anything about hunting and, just being able to I love it how you got little snippets. And it whets your appetite. It gives you enough information that you can learn. And then if you want to take it that much further, you can dive into the sections that you offer to find out more.
It'd be a great question for you. What are we missing so far?
I have not. Everything I've ever searched for, you've had on your website.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. We ultimately would like it to be a library and a resource for people sitting there all the time. So whether you want to become a grouse hunter or a moose hunter or a bear hunter, all the information's there, from what type of firearm or archery equipment you'd need to how to deal with it in the field. And the best part, the recipes for enjoying it when you do get it home.
That's where Lasha takes over. She's the real cook in the family right now.
I could tell. I was going to say that, we actually met at the Taber Pheasant Festival last year, and Lasha had signed up for the novice shoot.
Yep.
Which is awesome. Opportunity to hunt pheasants. Had you ever hunted pheasants before? No. So, what a great opportunity. And then you came to the culinary event where I get to cook. I think I cooked for 45 people there, and you get to try. Last year, did we do 3 or 4 different items? Anyways, we got to try them, and I could tell by your questions and your interest and how you were tasting things that you were more than paying attention. You were analyzing, which is a lot of fun. How was the Taber Pheasant Festival for you, and what did you take home from it? Like, what was enjoyable, and what did you think of that novice hunt or the culinary event? Chris, you were there too.
Yeah.
I'll get your perspective, and Lasha can tell us exactly what she got as well.
I absolutely enjoyed how it was like you could know absolutely nothing about hunting and go there, learn what you need to know about safety, get a firearm that fits you. Not, it's not, you think it's, you just grab it, but it's not, you find a firearm that fits you, that works with you. They let you practice, and then they take you out, you go after some birds, and you're not done there. They take you to the cleaning station where they teach you how to properly harvest and take everything. If you want to take the feathers, take the feathers. If you want to take everything. And that's invaluable. That whole thing.
Learning how to do that with somebody shortens the learning curve so much. It's incredible. I couldn't imagine taking a limit of birds home, or a bunch of birds, or even have a deer or a moose on the ground, never having done it before, anyone to show you. It would be like, oh my goodness, what have I done? And how am I going to deal with this?
What have I gotten into?
Yeah. And did you enjoy the recipes and stuff that we served up later in the next event?
Absolutely wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. That whole festival, the whole atmosphere there, the people, it was an experience.
Oh, awesome.
To say the least.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that the pheasants you took home were transpired into something wonderful as well.
Yes, Lasha made a beautiful paprikash with one of them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Lasha's going to get along great with Steph, because with her German heritage, paprika's a standard meal around here. Would you recommend to others that they take on the Pheasant Festival, especially the novice program?
100%. If you're thinking about getting into hunting, I don't think there's a better way. You're surrounding yourself with so much experience. The people are so kind. Like, given Lasha's condition, I don't think we've been around more caring, compassionate people ever in a group. And that was just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
We made sure we came out to your event. We were so excited to meet you and your team. We really enjoyed the Pheasant Festival last year. Everyone was so kind, patient, and helpful. Not only did we get to do the notive shoot, but we got to go out to a private hunt with an amazing woman named Sarah and her husband Chris and her daughter who ran dogs. It was such a special time there. We had never been, and people just opened their arms to us.
I'm glad to hear that, because I still feel that it's special when I go down there. I've gone down and photographed the novice shoot and interviewed people, and the incredible joy and excitement that people experience, you can't really write about it and generate the same feelings, but to go down there and see it and see what it does to people, it is amazing. So I know you were successful on the novice hunt, and the Marthalers took you out afterwards, and you enjoyed it immensely. They're great people. They would help anyone.
This podcast is produced for Harvest Your Own, a program dedicated to those who want to reconnect with food and health through their experiences outdoors. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a resource for individuals to learn more about hunting and the outdoors. There's information to get you started and ensure that your compass stays pointed in the right direction to be successful. Where's your next meal coming from?
We did mention that Lasha does have, I think you said it was a condition, which is fine, but maybe we could just say what that is, because people might be saying, that's a very interesting voice she has.
Yeah, she sounds a little bit like Gwyneth Paltrow. Back in 2017, Lasha was diagnosed with a rare brain tumor, PGCT, pineal gland cystic tumor. That was deep down inside the middle of her brain. We spent 3 years going back and forth between Toronto, Alberta, trying to get her help. And unfortunately, the only places that would operate on it were Houston, Texas was the number one. And after exhausting all our resources, the community of Fort McMurray came together and raised the funds for Lasha's surgery to go down to Houston. And with their help and us selling our house in Toronto, we went down to Houston, rolled the dice on a 50-50 surgery, and God willing, I got my wife back. So
that's a pretty sweet story.
Yeah.
where there's a will, there's a way, and it makes me proud to be an Albertan when I hear stories like that, because to get community support and love, I don't even know if you can find words to describe it, right? It's pretty special. You know, I've dealt with that. My youngest brother had a brain tumor and had a big surgery as well, and it pulls heavy on your heart for the rest of your life. So we're so thrilled to have you here and so excited to see you at events. And it still makes me smile when I get up and look at my phone or on my computer to see at the latest post that's gone up from Harvest Your Own, and there's Lasha, like probably the first one every time. So it's pretty special to have you here. And it's even better that you have challenges in life, but you haven't let it stop you from doing anything that you enjoy.
No. We sort of took the perspective of like, don't give up what you want to do. Just change the way you do it. And, you know, just speaking before we got on the mics here, the number one thing is just for being a caregiver, for being anyone that's just starting out, whatever challenges you have, kids, daycare, everyone's got something in life. Give yourself grace, plan it out. You know, if you think you can do it in a year, say 2 years, and just really take your time, savor it, enjoy it, research the nuances of it. You get so much more enjoyment out of it. And that's been our experience. It's taken us from when Lasha and I said, let's start hunting, to now it's been 5 years.
But it was worth the wait.
Totally, 100%.
And it allowed you to absorb it, understand it, be ready, be confident.
100%. And also meet wonderful people. Like sometimes you glaze over everything because you're trying to rush to the end goal. And the people we've met along the way, like immersing ourselves in the Taber Festival, was that reason. Lasha said, we want to hunt. I want to be around hunters. And that's our main purpose for going there. We just wanted to immerse ourselves and see what this was all about.
Yeah, it's a long drive to go, and like some people would look at it, it's a long drive to go shoot a couple pheasants, but it's way more than shooting a couple pheasants.
The pheasants are kind of like the little cherry you get on top of the sundae.
Exactly.
That's it. Yeah, no, the whole experience was just amazing. And like we've been saying, the people are what really, really make it.
Yeah, we're lucky. The ACA staff bring a ton of people out. We have professional chefs that donate their time for other events. The Alberta Hunter Education Instructors Association comes out to ensure people can shoot safely and confidently, and they practice with clays, and they make sure guns fit them, and they find the right loads if they're recoil sensitive. They go above and beyond so that it's inclusive for everyone. Given
Lasha's condition and all her disabilities, never felt disabled there. We never felt left out.
Yeah, and I didn't see it either. And that was the wonderful part is, rise to the challenge, get up there and get it done with, it's almost like her signature smile, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's Lasha when she's beaming.
Yeah. So it's she lights up a room and lights up a field of pheasant hunters as well.
Yeah. Shows me up on the shooting range as well, and we'll talk about that one, huh?
Yeah, well, everyone's got to be good at something, right?
I don't mind being second.
Yeah.
I love your podcast and posts. They really inspire me and bring me back to so many great times growing up. Your most recent family podcast was so special to me, to hear you and your wife taking your girls outdoors, teach them life in nature, and it felt so special to listen to them living these experiences with you too. And feeling in myself, in their later adult years, they will be sitting here like me, thinking back to their mom and dad and those times outdoors.
That was a special podcast for me too. It really, I'd have to say the girls rose to the occasion. I didn't think it was going to be that good. I thought we were going to have to like tease and pull everything out of them. But I mean, I'll tell you the backstory. They love playing podcasts. They put the machine on here and record themselves and have conversations about making fish soup and doing whatever it is. So they feel very comfortable on the mic. But when they got up, Maya is normally the timid one. She was like bang, 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 every answer on cue. And she had some humor in her. And it went really well. I was so surprised. And it just sort of shows that the outdoors have really influenced their life, right? And that's the same with you, Lasha. Like, your stories about growing up in the Yukon, just take me back. I get all kinds of memories from being up there and seeing the mountains and fishing and photographing sheep and doing all those things. It's a special time in your life. So, Chris, you're getting to experience that now, the special times,
Yep.
Have you actually started hunting?
I have. I actually got out last year went for a deer.
Yep.
And it turned out I was going to sit in a blind, but it turned out two people were very, very close to where I had set up weeks in advance, planned everything. Funny enough, I was walking up to the blind and these two guys were just sitting there, and there was a half decent 3-year-old buck, and I saw him. I was like, oh, perfect. My blind's set up in the right spot. Okay. You're all happy doing everything. And these two gentlemen didn't even see it, and the buck ran off, and I didn't shoot because I thought they were going to shoot. But, go back to going on your website and your podcast. I was able to change my strategy, seeing that place is not going to be huntable right now. Don't waste my time. And I turned it into a great still hunt. And that was probably one of the best things I've ever done. The deer I saw, the animals I saw, just being able to be in nature and immerse myself, having the opportunity to go on a deer, didn't quite get successful, but just that passion, that fire, that you're knowing that you're out there, you're getting your own food, you're harvesting for your family and going to provide subsistence and good, natural, free range subsistence. Yeah.
And it's interesting. Every time you go afield, it's a learning curve. And I say it to this day. I've hunted a lot, but every time I go out, I learn something. And I think you have to keep your mind open to it, but not every animal is different, just like not people are. And the weather's not the same every time you go. You just learn something different every time you're out there.
Yeah. And really your experiences, your nerves, when you're in the situation, it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to be calm. It's easy. No.
It's funny. I think that's why I'm such an avid hunter. Is it's hard to explain to people the excitement and emotion that's generated when you actually see game or have an experience. It's I can't really say there's anything else in life that makes me feel the same way.
No, it was Lasha and I actually harvested 2 grouse, and we got on there and we were calm and we did everything right. We managed to get the 2 grouse, but like you said, that feeling you get afterwards that I just provided food, and now you get the enjoyment of. I know it may sound weird, but we got a lot of enjoyment out of cleaning it, prepping it, and cooking it that night. It was just wonderful experience.
Yeah, I always like to say that I get as much enjoyment out of processing the game I bring home as I do out of harvesting it and the whole experience. It sort of brings it to a closure for us. Yeah. And, it's great because my girls now take part in that. And they help us cut, wrap, grind, make sausage, do whatever, label the packages. And I'll be surprised if they don't hunt. But if they choose a different path, that's fine too. I think that they'll always have some proper grounding to know which direction to take in life.
100%.
Yeah. So how else has it changed your life?
I think it's also helped, like being a caregiver. Lasha's had a lot of bad days, and just being able to have something for myself to go and decompress. Scouting, that, we all sit in a truck, and I would go there, and Lasha was at least in the outdoors. I can park off on a side road and put her in the middle of the bush. We walk a little ways, and I'll sit her down and make sure she's safe, and I'm able to go out there on my own and let her be on her own and give her a little bit of independence and just be immersed in nature. I think that's probably been the biggest surprise, how much nature can heal and what it could provide and what it's provided for Lasha and helped her out so much. I think that's the biggest takeaway. And the going out and hunting has just been, like sort of the icing on the cake, they say, right?
It's like taking a deep breath in life. Just
100%.
Decompress and just give yourself some goosebumps in life.
It's amazing just touching a branch even or a leaf, how much it changes your perspective. And like you said, big breath.
Yep.
In the Yukon, when I very young, we had a black bear that was going around eating our dog's puppies on our property, and our neighbors were loosing their animals as well. So our neighbors, which were miles away from our 3-wall tent we lived in, that my father built with his own hands on our land up there, we all came together, made a hunting party, hunted the black bear. After that, we all harvested it together and had a big cookout as 3 different families in the area. Such a special time.
It really is. And, I love to hear that story because I was hired by the Yukon government years ago to go up there and put on seminars about hunting bears because they wanted to encourage more people to do it as a food source, rendering your own lard and doing all these things that the early explorers did when they found that region, because bears don't always get the same love that other creatures do, but they're just as important, and in many ways they can provide more things to you. You know, if we were back as early settlers, we would have wanted that grease for frying in. There wouldn't have been canola oil, and we would have wanted it for greasing our bullets when we're stuffing our muzzle loaders and keeping our powder dry and all these other things. So it's amazing that when you get to experience it, you understand more of it. And black bear is wonderful to eat. Have you ever tried black bear, Chris?
No, I have not. That's on our spring hunting list right now.
Well, you certainly live in the right area for that.
Yep.
Used to be royalty food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Used to be, and it's funny because I've told this story a couple times, but I remember I was up in the Valley View country one year in the fall and found a great big fat bear in an oat field, and I thought, oh, the farmer for sure is going to let me hunt that bear. Went, knocked on the door, and he said, oh, no. We've been watching him. We're fattening him up. That's our winter food supply. My family likes bear meat the most, and I wasn't upset. I wanted to give him a high five, and we had a great talk about, appreciating all the resources that are out there.
Yes. That's so good.
Yes. Now, Lasha, you say that, or Chris says, you're a bit of a gun nut. What's your favorite caliber and why?
Just one.
There never has to be just one. No. That's the age-old question that my hunting buddies always ask when you're in a remote camp somewhere. It's like, okay, if you could only own 2 guns for the rest of your life, what 2 would they be? And it spurs a conversation that lasts for hours.
I'm currently hooked on the 6.8 Western. It's tickled my fancy pretty good right now.
Well, I'd have to say that it's a hot new caliber in many ways. The marketing has been strong behind it, but it's a good bullet in terms of its energy, just from its diameter, its ballistic coefficients. The 6.8, it offers a lot, especially for bigger creatures. So hunting bears, moose, big-bodied whitetails, I don't think you can go wrong. I don't have one yet, but I've certainly looked at them. I did shoot a deer in Louisiana with one last fall. So that was my first experience with the 6.8 myself.
Wow. Yeah.
What about yourself, Chris? What are you hunting with?
Right now I'm hunting with a 308. Lasha bought me 5 years ago for my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Winchester Model 70A. Yeah. So I'm hunting with that right now. And we've just slowly been adding to the collection. Shotgun, 12 gauge. Lasha's our first gun was actually a 22. That was our just practice gun to make sure we knew how to pull the trigger and safety and get all the procedure down properly. And then, right now we're going with the 308. Oh, and we just acquired a 4570, old Western lever action.
Now that's the original bush gun for hunting bears and moose.
Yep.
Yeah, by far. It's I like to say it's almost like driving a golf ball through them. It hits them so hard. So it's a funny analogy, but it means you don't have to track if you hit them in the vitals.
That's good to know.
Now I've upgraded that 2020 to a CZ, and that's a fun, plinking gun.
No doubt. Yeah. Now, when you go grouse hunting, do you like taking the 22, or are you all in with the shotgun because we want to get something in the pot?
Right now it's been we want to get something in the pot.
Yeah.
Just get that first experience out of the way. But Lasha's really, really honed in on her skills on the 22 because she's always like, can I take the 22 next time? I'm like, yep, sure.
Well, that's a great combo because you can take the 22 and he can back you up with the shotgun. And then you can see how good he is on the wing. That's what we often do too, because I hunt with a number of buddies that grew up. They learned from their grandpas, and their grandpa was like, no shotguns. We don't like pellets in it. Has to be headshot with a 22. And for some reason, they still do that. So I often say, I'll back you up. And they get out, and sometimes they harvest, and I celebrate with them, and sometimes they miss, and I get to shoot at one on the wing, or sometimes there's 2 or 3 that we didn't see that also provide opportunities. So, working as a team can provide lots of benefits.
Yeah, thank you for that tip. But being able to hunt with your wife all the time, that now we can double team that one.
Absolutely. And did each of you harvest a grouse last year, or
Yes.
was one of them yours?
No, we both harvested. Each got one.
So that's your first harvest?
Without the Taber Pheasant Festival, yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you shot at Taber as well.
I did.
Very good.
Yeah.
And did you both come home with a couple birds?
We both came home with a couple of birds. We even stopped at one of the sites. I think it was Brooks.
Yep.
We stopped there. I had fun because I didn't have a dog, chasing on foot one pheasant. And that took up about 2.5 hours of my time before I finally lost it. But yeah, that was an experience and a half too, just to be able to see it, track it, and how quickly they hide. Like anyone that says that it's like shooting duck or fish in a barrel, they haven't been out there and tried it. No.
I understand. Yeah, pheasants are like road runners. Oh. They're fast and they don't miss a thing.
The hunting and trapping world has changed so much since I was growing up, so I'm learning so much now. As a kid, trapping was done with leg holds, and now, here in Alberta, it's all snares, and it's so interesting to learn.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, the humane trapping laws came into effect, and the leg holds are very effective, but the world wouldn't buy the fur, so we had to change, and the research center in Vegreville, Alberta, is where they tested and certified all those traps for humane trapping, and there's still stuff going on there, so Alberta's had a big part of that in order to maintain the trapping community and the markets and allowing people to go out and enjoy those resources and help to make sure that there's markets for them. So I love trapping. I used to do a fair bit of it, and I don't have nearly as much time now, but I'm fairly heavily immersed in hunting and fishing and kids. So
could see that.
That's incredible.
This podcast was made possible by Alberta Conservation Association and the Harvest Your Own community. If you're interested in harvesting your own food, there's a comprehensive collection of information. To gain insight and knowledge, head to the field, harvest your own protein, prepare it, and taste the results. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a library of information from getting started and geared up to processing, butchering, and cooking wild game to make the connection between health and food.
what are your plans for this year? You talked about getting out for spring bear.
We're going to get out for spring bear this year. We're going to go out for deer. Taber is back on our list. I booked the whole festival off, so we'll be doing the whole thing all over again. And we'll put in a few tags. I don't know if we'll be lucky enough to get a moose tag this year, but we'll try. We'll put in a tag each, and that's probably about it. I don't think we'll have time to do anything else.
Yeah, putting in for draws is a strategy all on its own, because some of them will take, like an antelope takes 15 years. So I tell people to start putting in, build your priority for the years when you want to pick one of them to have. So, don't pick one. I say go for it. Dream big and look down the road a decade even.
Yeah. That was the one thing that learning curve, that was the big one. Like plan ahead, the tag system and the draw system. I was just like, how does this work?
Yep.
But yeah.
I'm going to go back to Lasha for a sec. Maybe you could describe the technology we're using in order for us to talk to us.
Lasha is using her smartphone, Samsung, with Speechify, and that allows her to have a voice when no one can see what she's actually using ASL or sign language for.
Right, and I said this before we started, but I find it a little bit embarrassing when I meet somebody and I don't know how to sign, because we should all know at least some basics, and our kids can pick it up real quick, but when I was at Taber, you were very patient with me and you typed your questions out, and we still communicated very well. But it's like you're always going the extra mile. So we appreciate that as well, because we want to know what you have to say, and we want to know things like your history and what your favorite gun is. And we're going to come up to your favorite meal, because if you grew up on wild game, I'm going to want to know what some of those dishes are. I've got the sneak peek of the paprika, but I'm sure there's more to it in there. Chris, have you got a favorite meal in terms of wild game?
That paprika dish she did was absolutely amazing.
Yes.
She during her times when she was trying to get diagnosed for her brain tumor, I got this biggest blessing. She lived with my grandmother, and she learned everything how exactly my grandmother does it. So it's like having my grandmother cook for me every day at home.
Nice.
When she's with me.
Yeah. Now, do you have any recipes or dishes growing up that you remember that are still a favorite in your mind? It's funny when I think of the Yukon, caribou, moose, and lake trout seem to bounce right to the forefront.
My mother was not a blessed cook, very bland, so my favorites came from the Heidi Guai times. My favorite was their black bear dishes they would serve with fish eyes and dried, thick ocean seaweed. It was so saily and delicious.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I've been in some far reached communities in the Yukon, and I remember cleaning some pike that still had some eggs in them, and the kids in the community ran up and they were all picking up the eggs and eating them raw out of the fish. And I've come home and told that story, and people are like, oh, but I mean, it's how you're raised and what you have. To them, that was a delicacy. It was like unbelievable, you know, and it teaches you that sometimes we're spoiled, and we need to open our eyes to see what's really out there in order to enjoy everything. So I think you've had a very cool upbringing, and being able to remember those things and celebrate them and still see them as a highlight speaks volumes to how you were raised and your time in the outdoors.
My eldest brother puked on the fish eggs. I'll never forget that, and all the elders laughing at him.
Now that is funny. I'm going to give you a heads up, Lasha. I'm going to ask you if you have any advice for other people in terms of challenges, in terms of don't give up your dreams and stuff. And while you're preparing that, I'm going to ask Chris, have you ever had fish eyes or fish eggs?
Fish eggs, yes.
Yes.
The fish eyes, yes, I did. Actually, growing up Portuguese, they do a lot of sea bass.
Ah, there you go.
So, yeah, fish eye would get snuck in there, unbeknownst to me probably.
But you weren't like Lasha's brother.
No. Thank goodness. I would not have lived that down either, like her brother.
Oh, it is funny. Again, it becomes a mental game. I've met lots of people that won't eat wild game because the thought of it just almost makes them ill.
Yeah.
I never do it as a surprise. I do it. I invite people to try it, try to open your mind, try to describe it in different ways that are wonderful.
Yes.
We never have derogatory comments. It's always an adult at the table that says, ooh, venison or something, you know, and all of a sudden everyone goes on guard. So it's how we present things, often how everyone else enjoys it.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Totally.
Now, when you are going to be successful, I'm going to tell you that right now, with your commitment and the time, your research, and your drive, you are going to harvest a deer or a moose or a black bear. Do you think you're prepared for dealing with it in the field?
I do. With Lasha's knowledge and then just the research we were doing, like Lasha, we and I do not want to waste anything. Like everything from the hide to the meat to some of the organs. We have a plan already in place. You know, we've talked it out so many times, gone through the motions on harvesting, you know, domestic game. We've worked on that. Right. So it's you know, that long-term planning, it does build to something. It builds to something really exciting to when that actually does happen.
Yeah, and it makes it very satisfying when it happens.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
It's that closure I talk about that I get. You will experience that, and you'll be like, wow, you know, it really brings everything full circle for you.
Really does. And just you know, Lasha and Eve have gone through the process of even talking about how you react and how we respect the game after you've done the kill shot and it's done, and before you do the harvesting. I think it's important to take all the steps and think it out fully before you actually go out there and commit to this.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of things that are misunderstood about hunting. The emotions that are involved in it, for a non-hunter, are hard to relate to. You know, they see a hunter celebrating or whooping or throwing their arms in the air, and they think, oh, like, how could they do that to celebrate that they killed something? But your excitement doesn't come from killing something. It comes from the planning, the strategizing, the working hard at it. And, you know, there's always, I still have it, there is always some remorse for taking something, but I know that if I fully utilize it, it makes me feel complete, feel wonderful, that, you know, giving the best tribute you can to the wildlife that you harvest.
100%. It's you're not celebrating the kill. You're celebrating that sort of that primal instinct that's in you, that you're saying, I am going to eat tonight. I'm going to have food, you know, like my family will not starve. Not
only that, but it's special, you know. It's funny. I've said it many times. My kids grew up, they cut their teeth on snow goose legs and rough grouse and stuff like that. And the first time they ate chicken, they didn't like it. They said, there's no flavor to it. So, you know, wild game does have its benefits, and we find different ways to love it, enjoy it, embrace it. So every meal with it is special.
Very special. Very, very special.
Yeah. And Lasha, you know, you've had lots of challenges in life. I don't think it has slowed you down much at all. And it would be very important to ask the question about what advice you have for others in the world facing challenges to make the most of their life, to get out and do the things they enjoy, do the things they love, do the things that make them proud, all those positive things.
Living with a chronic illness can feel overwhelming at times, but I've learned that the power of the mind is truly incredible. Embracing the outdoors, finding joy in nature, and pushing through the challenges allows me to live a life that goes beyond just the limitations of my body. My illness doesn't define me, and neither does anyone else's. It's the strength of the spirit, the beauty of the mind, and the resilience to keep going that truly matter. I've also realized that nature brings an incredible sense of peace and connection to my body. It's amazing how much less pain I feel when I'm outdoors compared to being in a city or crowded spaces. The fresh air, the open skies, and the quiet of nature bring comfort that makes life so much more pleasant. We are so much more than just our struggles. Our lives can still be full of purpose, passion, and adventure. Embrace what you can, take it one step at a time, and always remember, you're capable of more than you think.
Very well said. I mean, it's inspirational to hear that. And I must say that I also relate what you're just saying to your art. I enjoy your posts on social media about the artwork you do, because your pictures aren't just a picture. You have to stop and study it because they scream different things at you. It's like it's a voice for you as well. So art is an amazing thing. It's part of life. It helps define you. It helps you communicate, and you do some wonderful work. So it's very nice to see. Chris, I'm glad that you've taken up the journey. I'm glad that you found a partner in life that brought you lots of happiness and could introduce you to different firearms, buy you one as a special gift. Very special. Take you hunting and do all those things, and for being a passionate, loving caregiver. I mean, it's not easy. We've seen that. I've seen it a lot in my family. And when we say life is what you make it, it's more than that. You can make life better than you ever thought it's going to be. But you have to work at it. You have to want it. And it's not just one person. So I think you both bring a lot of inspiration to the table, and we love you for it. And thank you for traveling down here. We appreciate doing a podcast with you and inspiring other people, whether they're people thinking about getting into hunting, whether they have life challenges, whether, they're so busy at work that they have to make special plans to do it. Your communications about how you're doing it are going to be invaluable to others to get them out there in the field and create something special in their lives as well.
I'm speechless. Thank you for that beautiful compliment.
This is such an honor, Brad. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, hopefully we can do it again, and I will be in Taber, and I'll be looking for you. I'm not sure what I'm going to cook yet, but maybe when we're done here, we could discuss the pheasant paprika recipe that you were talking about.
Lasha's on board.
There we go. Well, thank you very much for coming, and thanks for joining us on Harvest Your Own. We hope to inspire people to reconnect with nature and appreciate where your food comes from by harvesting your own. For more information on getting started or to learn specifics about the Field to Fork experience, visit harvestyourown.ca and follow on Facebook and Instagram. Check back often for new material, recipes, and videos that are posted regularly. Please subscribe to Harvest Your Own podcast and take the time to rate and review the show to help us build a dedicated core of passionate hunters as our regular audience. Until next time, embrace the outdoors and all it has to offer. Thanks for joining us.